Welcome back. My name is TG Sido. This is week 5, and today we're going to talk about functions. Let's get started. So, what have we learned so far? We did built-in functions, input, print, variables, infloat string, boolean, mathematical operators, comparison operators, standard functions, logical operators, expressions, conditional statements, loops last week. And now for today, what are we doing? So we're going to actually hit what is a function, why are functions useful, function syntax, and 3 function examples. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. And now for functions. Okay, so what is a function? A function is a block of code that can perform a specific task. And what are its key features? So it can take an input, it can perform a specific task, and it can also produce output. Why are functions useful? Why do we even care, right? So functions actually help us break down programs into manageable chunks. Functions actually prevent unnecessary code repetition. Additionally, functions make maintaining and debugging code so much easier. Okay, so what are some of the functions that we've already seen? We've seen input, print, stir, int, range. We've seen a ton so far. All right, and how do you actually create your own function if you want to write your own function? So over here in red, we see def. So def actually starts the function definition. Over here in red, we actually have the function name. You can actually write and provide a name for your function here. Next, we're actually looking at our parameters. And note that this list of parameters is optional. It is possible to have a function without parameters, but note that the parameters are the important info passed in to the function as input. Okay. And now in red over here, we're actually looking at the function body. These are the statements that perform the task. And note over here, the return value. The function can return a particular value, but is not required to do so. So just keep that in mind. And now for our first function. Okay, so say hello. Def, again, that starts the function definition. Next, we have the function name, which is just say hello. Okay, we haven't specified any parameters. And then in our function body, we have print, yo. All right. Okay, so over here, we're actually going to call the say hello function by executing this over here. And so in the output, we will see that yo, right? That was coming from this function body, okay? And now for our second function. Okay, so def, again, that starts the function definition. Repeat name is our function name. And now over here, these are parameters, first name, last name, num repeat. So first name and last name are strings, and num repeat is the integer. Okay, and then now we have our function body in red. And so now we have some code. So repeat name, TG Sido, and 3. So this is the first call to repeat name. And these are actually the arguments. These are the values passed in when actually calling this function. Okay, so now for the function call, we see that first name is going to take on the value TG, last name is going to take on the value Sido, num repeat is going to take on the value 3. And now moving forward, we print out hello there. We see that in the output. And then now I is going to take on the value 0 in the first iteration. We're going to print out first name and last name. So TG Sido, we see that on the screen. Then next, I is going to take on the value 1 in the next iteration. Again, TG Sido. And then finally, in this last iteration, we're going to print out TG Sido again. Okay, so now back. We're done with the first call to repeat name. And now we're going to just print out yo bro. We also see that in the output. And now for the second call to repeat name. Just like the first call, right? We're passing in a name here or a string, and then finally 2. So now this is going to print out Mike Smith 2 times. And we do see that in the output as expected. And now for our third function. Okay, so over here, def, this starts the function definition. Add, that's the name of the function. Num1 and num2, those are our parameters. And then over here, this is the function body. And so we're returning the sum of num1 and num2. That's the output of our function. Okay, so num1 is equal to 2, num2 is equal to 3, num3 is equal to 4. Gotcha. And now over here for our first call to add. So we say add and we pass in num1, num2. And so over here for the function call, note what's in num1, right? We have 2. What's in num2? That happens to be 3. And so over here, num1 for add is going to take on the value 2. And we see that over here. And num2 and add is going to take on the value, what? 3. And so we see that over here. So now sum is going to be the sum of these two variable values. So we have over here 2 plus 3, that's 5. And so sum is going to take on the value 5. Now over here, we're actually going to return or send 5, the value inside of the sum variable, back to the caller. And so over here, even though our call to add actually returned 5, we're not capturing the return result anywhere. Okay, and now for the second call to add, we say num4 is equal to add of num3 and num1. So over here for num3, what does num3 have? That's 4. And what does num1 have? That is 2. So over here for num1 for add, we see num1, okay? So what's there? That's 4. So num1 is going to take on the value 4. And now for num2, right here with num1, that's 2. So num2 is going to take on the value 2. Note that this order does matter. Okay, now for the sum variable, that's going to be the sum of the values in those two. So this is going to be 6 now. And now we're actually going to return or send 6, the value inside of the sum variable, back to the caller. Okay, so over here, we're actually capturing or storing the return result from add in num4. So now num4 is going to have 6. And now for our third call to add. Okay, so this is num2 and num4. And so what's in num2 at this point in time? So num2 has 3. So now num1 is going to take on the value of 3. And now over here, what does num4 have? That's 6. So now num2 is going to take on the value 6. And now we're going to go over here. So sum is equal to num1 plus num2. And so that's going to be 9 now. And so now we can actually return or send 9 back to the caller. Okay, so now over here, we're actually going to capture that return result and actually store that in num5. So now num5 has 9, and we see that up here. And finally, we're going to print out num4 and num5. So num4, what's in num4? We see 6, gotcha. And now num5, what's in num5? We see 9, gotcha. So we're all good.